Hi, I'm Stevie Fernandez.
And I'm Trish Whitmer. It's good to have you here once again for this week's Explore Tulsa. Stevie, why are you dressed like that?
Well, I was thinking about being a greaser. You know, like in the movie The Outsiders.
You look a little more like Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley.
Either way, March 25th marks the 30th anniversary of The Outsiders' theatrical release.
And not only is the movie a cult classic, it has a very special place in Tulsa history as well.
That's right, Trish. It was written by Tulsan Susie Hinton. And the film, all filmed right here in Tulsa.
So we decided to catch up with some of the Tulsans who helped make this cinematic classic.
I saw it in the Tulsa World. They had a little ad in there. It said, anybody that owns a 1963 or older car, send in photos of your car. So I had a 1960 Corvette, and I sent in pictures of it. They accepted the card, and then I don't know if they asked me or sent me a letter, whatever, they wanted me to be an extra. So I ended up being an extra for, I think, 3 days, and they used the car for 2 days.
They told me to be at the intersection of 11th and Denver. So I drove, that was on a Saturday morning to be there. And so I drove my car. I had a 60 Chevy red Impala. So they used it in that opening scene. It was the original opening scene of the 83 version. Then we drove over to the Pines restaurant on East Pine Street. And I was in that scene too. So I took my camera with me every time I was on the sets, and I took pictures, and I was never denied permission to shoot. I pretty much had free range of shooting. I even would go into the makeup trailer when it was downtown, when they were doing some shooting downtown around Brady District, and that was the motorcycle cop scene there. And I went inside the trailer, makeup trailer, and I shot some pictures in there. And I got some pretty good shots there.
I became one of the Socs in the fight scene. I guess I was 19 at the time, and this is the biggest thing that's ever happened to you in your life. So you're literally, waiting by the phone and planning the rest of your life. How's this one role gonna change my life? Oh my gosh, And it was great because you got to really sort of dream big, and being on the set, you really did. It was very inclusive. Joey Clem said, it was an open set. Everybody got to hang out and watch what was going on. Francis was very innovative in the way that he filmed, because he had a screen right there, and he would play it back right after the scene and have the actors look at it, and if they didn't like what they saw, they'd reshoot it. And he did video at the same time, which nobody was doing at that time.
So he came in and had us all sit in little circles, and he told the stories. He said, I want to see you laugh, I want to see you cry, I want to see if you get scared. And so when the appropriate times come, we would all get our scared face on and we'd do our cry. And he picked several ones then to be in it. And so we were all excited that I got to be one of the ones chosen, and when he saw me crying, I guess he thought I was just an awesome crier and natural, and so that's how I got for that part of it.
My dad was in the movie. He was a greaser in the rumble scene. It's kind of cool because he was standing behind Patrick Swayze, and so that was really neat for me. Just growing up, every year in school I couldn't get away from it, so.
I did a knife fight scene at the Pines Drive-In. I was the greaser that beat him up, and we did a little knife fight there, and ended up being in the opening scene of the movie.
We went down to Lowell, and we signed up for it, and they called us about 3 days later and said they was going to cut our hair and slick it back to be there at 9 o'clock. We get there and they shave his head. I said, you ain't cutting my hair. I walked out and I had them all chasing me, and they said, you're going to regret it, and I said, don't care. So my mom finally talked me into it.
Man, we sure was popular in school that year. I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, we was in school, and they had the PA systems back then, and they said, we got 2 movie stars here, and Billy and Chris Wagner, and I mean, the girls was a magnet. I mean, it was a good deal after that.
Yeah, you touch Matt Dillon, this type deal, yeah.
That was the scene that originally set up the whole premise for the gang war. Was the Socs were harassing Pony Boy, and then I jumped him. We chased him around for a while, and then I jumped him and pulled out a switchblade and cut off some of his hair, and then gave him a little nick on the neck, just to kind of remind him that who ran the neighborhood.
Basically, it's Matt Dillon, and I believe Ralph Macchio walking across the parking lot of the Pines restaurant, and they suddenly discover that a fight is breaking out. And the part that I was somewhat featured in was I was supposedly working on the back axle of my trunk, tightening down a bolt, and myself and a bunch of other bikers turn around and we kind of made a semicircle around the fight so that nobody got to run.
A stand-in is a piece of human furniture. And so I would do like sit in this chair and for the day, and then at some point when they were ready to roll, I would get out of the chair and the actors would come in and shoot for 30 seconds and then I'd go back to sitting in the chair.
You know, I met a lot of those guys before you even knew who they were, because at that time, probably Ralph and Diane and Matt Dillon were probably the only ones that were like movie people that you would recognize or had any credentials.
It is great that they all went on to be working names in the business, and it was exciting. And to be honest, all of those guys, when they showed up, I didn't know who any of them were.
You know, being those actors, like everybody said, Matt Dillon at the time was probably him and Ralph Macchio, but there's the night. I mean, you'd think there's your friends, you've been friends with them forever. I've never seen the bad side of none of them.
I wouldn't have known any of them because this was their first movie. As far as I know, you know, Ralph Macchio got famous, and a year later he did The Karate Kid, but I didn't know any of them.
Just to see kids at now, 30 years later, still get excited about this movie is really cool, and knowing that I was a part of it is really neat.
You know, we all have this bond between us. You know, we participated in a movie that's become a cult classic. So it's really fun to get together and show our pictures to each other, and it's just great. It's like a little brotherhood we have with each other.
You understand, Tulsa's the biggest small town out there, and when the movies came to Tulsa, everybody wanted to be in it. It was really exciting.